Okay, you are good to go.
Hello, everyone, fellow commissioners on Zoom. Not sure if this will be our only Zoom meeting or if we will continue with Zoom, but we'll do whatever the city decides to do. It looks like we have at least 5, but so we do have a quorum, which is good. And I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. The January 24th, 2022 virtual meeting of the Planning Commission. And why don't we go ahead and start with a roll call? I'll start. Gail Seitz.
Rivera.
George Veloskakis.
John Lafferty.
Kristen Zumar.
Kiara Fania Ruiz.
All right, thank you. I know I heard from Matthew Lovely, who has a family emergency tonight, so he's not going to be able to join us. And Jeff is not available, and Chris, our AECOM planning consultant, checked in with me to see if we needed him to participate tonight. I think I am aware of all the updates from the new ordinances, so I told him it was not necessary. So we'll go ahead and proceed. And before we move into the business part of the meeting, I would like to acknowledge the untimely death of Commissioner Bill Walters. Bill brought a lot of background and experience and opinions to the Planning Commission. It was always a lively discussion when Bill participated. And so we are down one commissioner. I'm assuming the mayor is working on a new appointment. But when we get to the site plan process part of the agenda, I should let everyone know who doesn't know that Bill really brought that to the forefront and got us started in creating that new part of the code, or recommending. It hasn't been approved yet by council. So any other comments before we move on?
Madam Chairwoman, we have someone in the attendee section who I think might be someone who needs to come into the meeting, but it comes up only as Wilmington District. I'm not sure if that's one of the ladies that is usually with you guys.
Not sure if that could be Vera.
That might be Vera.
So
Should I
what do,
bring them in?
sure.
Okay, let me bring them in. Okay, it should be working momentarily. Oh, there we go. I think I've brought them in. Yep, there we go. Okay.
Hello, it's Vera.
Well, hello, Vera. Well,
I thought I was already in and then I didn't see myself.
well, you're in now, and all we've done is the roll call, so we will acknowledge that you're here as well.
Thank you.
And we discussed a little bit about the untimely passing of Bill Walters as a commission member.
Yeah, I was so very sorry to hear about that. He brought so much to the commission.
Yes, he did. So we'll move on to the minutes. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, motion and second.
Make a motion for that.
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Right, minutes have been approved. The next item on the agenda is the training, which is scheduled for this coming Friday through the Biden School at the University of Delaware. I know many of us, most of us have signed up, or Kim has signed us up, and I got my individual log on from Kim. Is everyone else who wanted to sign up through the city gotten their login?
No, I haven't. This is Vera. No, I haven't.
All right. Do you want to participate, Vera?
Yes, I do.
All right. Were you on the list? I can make sure that Kim knows.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure that it's still fine, especially since it's a Zoom training session. They can add in as,
I did answer the information that was sent out.
all right, I will follow up with Kim.
Thank you.
Anyone else who's still interested?
Yes, Gail, I'd previously shared with you that I'm currently waiting on word for a new job, and it looks like that if this Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning,
Correct.
it looks like I should be available, so you could go
All
ahead.
right,
and
I'll let Kim know.
All right, terrific.
And Kiera, I think you went ahead and enrolled yourself, and Kim noted that if you would like a reimbursement from the city, you can just let her know.
Yes, I enrolled myself right after the last meeting that I attended, but the life of a teacher, we have state testing that day. So excited. So I don't think I'll be able to attend.
Oh, all right, all right. And there are a couple of other courses related to planning that are coming up through the Biden School. There's one on land use law on February 25th and one on land use administration on March 10th. I don't know enough about them to know if they would be worthwhile for us as commissioners, but I would say, I think I might go ahead and enroll myself. If you're interested, you can certainly participate. And, if you'd like for the city, they're both Zoom trainings as well, to sponsor us, let me know. And I'm sure we can make that happen. So. All right, moving along, we do not have any applications this evening, so we'll just go through some of the projects and talk about some of the updates that have occurred since we last met in November. So first of all, the site plan review and approval, which is actually a new part of the code, 230-46. And we reviewed the code in our October meeting with Chris Rogers. And then we also discussed it in our November meeting because there were some changes once Chris met with attorney Dan Losco, mostly concerning that the Planning Commission would have the role of recommending, City Council would make final approvals. The actual code itself, given the holiday crunch, Dan was working on actually our next item, special exceptions, to get that on council's agenda in January. So he did not get the site plan process in a form for a first reading before council. So hopefully that'll happen in February. And then the special exceptions, which are Board of Adjustment and some downtown gateway changes. What we as the Planning Commission really reviewed was there is currently criteria for special exceptions in the downtown gateway section of the code, but nowhere else. And so it made sense that the criteria should apply to all special exceptions. So that is part of what was the first reading before council on January, but there are also some other things that are part of that, which strengthen enforcement provisions for violations of special exceptions, and also the makeup of the Board of Adjustment. So as part of the changes, the Board of Adjustment would become more of a citizen board. The mayor would be the head of that board, and then there would be 4 citizens appointed by council. And both the city planner and the city attorney would not be voting members, but would advise or consult. So all of that, there was a very lengthy reading of all of that proposed code in January. Council asked that they would have some time to digest it. So hopefully they will come back in February and vote on that, and that we'll see the first reading for the site plan process. So any comments or questions on all of that? All right, charging stations. John or George or anyone, any updates?
I do have an update. Yes, one additional station has been installed since we last spoke. That's at the old Pizza History, which of course is now a new restaurant. They have one there. As regarding the other station, the other locations, the 3rd Street parking lot, 2 are installed for a total of 4 stations. And the trustees had requested that no more chargers be installed there at this time. 2nd and Chestnut, I was by there. I hadn't seen any progress. That's also been approved as far as I understand. The Triangle, it's going to be a bigger project because that's going to be involve some repaving. Of course, that's down by the War Memorial. And the Wharf too. That was a location that was also proposed, and my understanding is that's already been provisioned with the conduit underground. And we were told by Scott Blomquist that would be a pretty straightforward installation. That has not begun yet as well. So we're seeing further progress.
All right, good. George, anything to add?
Nothing to add from me, just the same as last time. Like I said, we have to wait till March to do any applications for the grants for the level 3 charges for River Plaza. So I'll probably be touching base with Scott in February sometime, find out how we're going to approach that. And what's the earliest we can apply for that.
I did see in the governor's climate action plan that $1.4 million in grant funding is part of that for the installation of fast EV chargers. Is that level 3 or is that level 4, or do you know?
I think level 3 is the highest. Is that right, John, or no?
That is correct. Level 3. They're the superchargers. It's like Tesla has that you could get a fair amount of charge within 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess maybe that's the grant money that,
That MSC is going to try to apply for.
all right.
Correct.
All right. Anything else on charging stations?
I would just say one thing. I do know that the infrastructure bill, as I mentioned in the previous meeting, was passed. So there is additional money coming, and I don't know what the timeline is for that as of yet.
Okay. All right, moving on to the Wilmapco Transportation Plan. I have not heard anything since the public meeting in November. I do know that the timeline was sometime in the beginning of 2022 for the draft final report. And so I assume the consultants are busily working on that draft. I know some of us, myself, John, George, are on the advisory committee for the transportation plan for the city. I think that's all from Planning Commission. Anyone else? So anyway, we should hear something first because he usually comes before us. But I don't really have any update. So hopefully they're working away.
Gail,
And
has there been an announcement regarding the next meeting that they spoke about at the council meeting? For the advisory committee?
was there a date announced?
They didn't know. I was asking if you had heard, if there was a
I
date.
have not heard.
Okay, because they did say another meeting was going to be coming up sometime early this year.
Right. Well, I guess we're still in January, so
Yeah.
we'll be patient. All right, moving along, comprehensive plan. There are a couple of things that have been happening in regard to the comp plan. And, one thing, again, if anyone, Kim reached out to me last week and said there were some extra copies of the comp plan in hard copy. So if you would like a paper copy, it is online, it's on the city's website. It sounds like Kim has some extras in the office, so you can check with her. At January's council meeting, a couple of the council members talked about appointing a task force to evaluate and make recommendations concerning sea level rise. And so there was discussion, and then the path forward is that Attorney Lasko is going to put it in a resolution format. So I assume to be voted on in February. So that is one of our comprehensive plan goals. Is there was a study done on sea level rise with AECOM and DENREC in 2018. And there were some recommendations that came out of that study. And one of them was that it shouldn't just be a study that sits on the shelf, that there should be a Newcastle committee task force ongoing to deal with some of the recommendations. So that, that it sounds like council is planning to move on that. And then the other thing that came up in the council meeting was when they started talking about getting ready to prepare for the budget for next fiscal year, which is July 1 of 2022 through June 30th of 2023. Some council members were saying that they would like for the next budget to incorporate some planning and not just be a budget based on previous budgets. And so that's why the council people asked for hard copies of the comprehensive plan. So hopefully there will be some discussion and prioritization of some of the goals that are in the comp plan, which would be great. Any other discussion on comp plan or anything anyone would like to bring up? All right, I think this might be a quick meeting. So moving right along, Bill Walters was Planning Commission's representative on the Historic Area Commission. And so now we are in need of a member. And let me read to you the actual code in regard to membership of the Historic Area Commission. It consists of 6 members, an architect licensed in the state of Delaware, having interest and knowledge in the protection, preservation, and restoration of the historic aspects of the city, appointed by City Council. The architect is a non-voting member and serves in an advisory capacity only. There are 2 city residents having municipal voting privileges and appointed by City Council, 2 city residents having municipal voting privileges appointed by the mayor, as well as a planning commission member appointed by City Council. And then it goes on to say at least 3 voting members shall be residents of and have legal or equitable title to property in the historic district. And then it talks about the 3-year terms and number of terms and so forth. So I checked in with Bill Barthel, and he said it would be fine if Planning Commission wanted to make a non-binding recommendation for who the representative could be, or our recommendation. and then the vote will be done by council. So I would just like to start out. I have a recommendation of one of our members. And let me just tell you a little bit more about HAC before I do that. HAC meets monthly on Historic Area Commission. HAC meets monthly on the second Thursday. The historic district is from the river, Delaware River, to and including Fifth Street. And decisions are based on Historic Area Commission design guidelines and standards, which were updated in 2016 and 2018, as well as advice from the architect. And then, of course, code, zoning, comp plan, but there are separate guidelines for that the Historic Area Commission deals with. So, and thinking about it, my recommendation would be Matthew Lovely. He lives in the historic district, and he used to own a business on Delaware Street in the historic district, and he's interested in serving. But I'm willing to take any other recommendations, or you can let me know if you're interested in serving.
Well, Matt already said that he's interested, right? So I think if he's interested, let him do it.
All right. Yes,
Yeah.
he said he is
I
interested.
agree.
I
Yeah.
I agree. I think Matt is an excellent choice, having owned at one time one of the oldest buildings in the city, going back to the 1600s. So he's intimately familiar with the challenges of upkeep and maintaining historic buildings. So I think that's an excellent choice.
All right.
What does the appointment of a planning commission member do for HAC? What is the job of?
It's the same job as the other.
It's just like being another HAC member, basically.
Yes, there are five HAC representatives, and they all, when someone wants to do an improvement, a renovation in the historic district, you have to go in front of the Historic Area Commission. So the appointment from Planning Commission, it's just another commissioner. It's one vote. So
Okay.
right now, the Historic Area Commission's down to 4. So it'd be nice, again, hopefully council can act on this in February so that they can get back up to 5 voting members.
I think Matt would be a good choice.
Okay. All right, well, I will make that recommendation from planning. All right, comments from commission members on anything? All right, hearing none, let's move on to any public comment.
Yes, there are 2 people in the attendees. Mr. Phil Gross has his hand raised. Do you want me to bring him
Alright.
in?
All right, great.
All right, I'll bring him in. Mr. Gross, go ahead.
Good evening all, and thank you for doing all you're doing. A couple things. With WMAPCO, me being on the advisory committee, according to them, I've reached out to our liaison, and she said nothing's been formally, like you said, nothing formally has been put together. So that they said they'd let everybody know when they're ready to go ahead with their recommendations. Which brings me to a question. I hear that there's money that's available from the trustees for city, redoing our city signs coming into the city. I don't know if the planning department would have anything to do with that, but I've said repeatedly, no sign changes should be done or upgrades until MAPCO comes back with where the roads, where the things are going to go. You can't build the seats for a stadium before the stadium's built. So I don't know what kind of input you guys would have, but if you do, I would certainly say, what's this with the signs? Nobody's asked us about changing signs, repositioning signs. So I would assume it would fall under your board. So that was one thing. Unfortunately, George and myself share a common bond. We were both almost hit by a car at 3rd Street. Again, I've sent pictures of suggestions that other towns, other cities have done as far as retrofit kits for the stop sign to have blinking LED. They're sort of coming back to feeling that they've got to paint stop at the crosswalk at 3rd Street. But again, I don't know if that falls under your board, but I would certainly make suggestions by you guys on behalf of the residents. I sit there almost every morning and see problems. So if you have any weight in that area, please feel free to speak up and say, you know, we should look at that as far as, if not just there, certainly a citywide thing. And last but not least, with regards to the charging stations, I assume we've got 3rd Street pretty much done. Chestnut Street, it's already in the pipeline. Triangle, at some point, it's going to happen. The Wharf, again, somehow, at some point, it's going to happen. And by the old Pizza History. So I think as it is now, it leaves 2 more charging stations by my math, or George, am I right?
I think John would know that. John, is that?
Two more in addition to what you had just mentioned,
Yeah,
Phil.
yeah.
Looking, it had 9 chargers left. As so far, 2 of them are installed at the 3rd Street lot, and 1 was just installed at Pizza History. So, got.
But in a sense, you said that those other areas that you mentioned were kind of set where, I think I read it right, that it's just waiting for them to formally, whether it's paving, digging, trenching, the spring, whatever it is, but those are designated, already approved places like Chestnut, the Triangle.
Yes, my understanding, Chestnut Street, I'm not sure that the Triangles are going to be a longer term project due to the fact that they have quite a bit of paving to do there for the parking lot. And the Wharf sounds like that, I don't know if it's been officially approved, but again, from a technical standpoint, that's it's already provisioned, the wiring conduit is already in the ground. So I see that as pretty much as if lack of a better word, a slam dunk. That's going to happen. And I think it's a good location.
Gotcha. Because one thing, and I think if I'm not correct, George, you were kind of heading, or John, as far as other locations. But as a thought, again, trying to get the biggest bang for those 10 charging stations that you currently have, maybe consider one of the parks or one of the areas in the surrounding communities that actually has a city space where people can park. And
Which parks in particular are you talking about, Phil? Just so we know, so we can.
I hate when you do that.
I don't know which. I don't.
Oh, no, I was
I mean,
talking.
just so we know where you're talking about, so we can take a look at it and and definitely consider it.
Well, I guarantee you, I will let you know. I was just mainly
Okay.
speaking in generality as far as if you do have a couple left over
Mhm.
for this go around, because I think it would show again inclusiveness and that, you know, we're seeing your needs, we're including you. So yeah, I have no problem going
Mhm.
around in my travels to give you some ideas.
Mhm.
Sure.
Bill, I can tell you two other areas that were under consideration were the senior center and also the old B&E lot, which is adjacent directly to the senior center. And at one time, the parking lot across from the tennis courts was under consideration, and that may or may not happen because of its proximity to the new Third Street lot.
Yeah, the only problem that I have with the B&E spot, I think the senior lot would be perfect because
Mhm.
I guess the city or the trustees, we own that, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Where B&E, we don't. So even though I think B&E lot would be better because it's kind of at a meeting point of everywhere,
Mhm.
but since we don't own that, I'd be afraid to put any kind of investment in there because we don't know what's going to be there in a couple years. And I don't believe making a commitment like that to the spot would be as big of a selling point.
Mhm.
But I think the senior center would be spectacular
Mhm.
because it's a little far away from
Mhm.
the Third Street lot in appearance, but
Mhm.
it's at least still includes some of there, or possibly by the Italian monument. Is there any pullover space over there?
No, there's no parking in that area, to my knowledge, on street or off street for that stretch right by the railroad.
Mhm.
I don't think that would be a feasible location.
Mm. But yeah, I have zero problem riding around and uh, I guess emailing you. I can shoot you an email with, you know, thoughts, but definitely including neighborhood communities. Plus, in a sense, it'll be an incentive for people getting electric cars. You know, their fear of, do I run an extension cord to the curb? Well, we took that problem away from you. You'll have a half a block, maybe a block or so uh, to do it. So, yeah. As far as the shopping center, um, you know, I guess I'm ambivalent. Uh, I think that should be for the next go round, only because these charging stations are not quick stations. So I think the next go around, if you opt to get an upgraded version, then I think for the shopping center would be good because that was my issue with them picking the old pizza history lot. The only people, and Mr. Bloomquist said that I can get a count of how many charges are done at stations, but the only real use of the pizza history one would be either people at the pizza or the chicken place or people driving through or on their little map on the electric car, it gives suggested stops to charge their car. Problem is, it's not a quick station and it you know, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Sure. And well, bear in mind, Phil, too, that there are a number of residences in that area. People that could plug their car in for a longer period. So I think that was a consideration when the decision was made to locate a charger there.
Just for giggles, what about by the school? And maybe even the far part of the parking lot because that gives Shawtown accessibility. And somewhere on there, we've got to own some part of something. But up there somewhere would be good, especially since now they're trying to push the dog park up there
Mhm.
by the Hermitage. So again, another thought. As I was told in the city council meeting, do you own an electric car, Mr. Gross? I said no, but I've got ideas for the general community. Does that count? So I appreciate all of you at least giving me the time to give my unsolicited opinions.
All right, thank you, Phil.
Appreciate it, Phil. Thank you.
Stay
Thank
safe.
And I know for the shopping center, we are waiting for the fast chargers.
Correct.
All right, is there anyone else?
There is actually someone by the initials of EF, but they do not have their hand raised, so I'm not sure they want to say anything, but we can always ask them. Let me bring them in if you would like. Good evening. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I have a question about the charger on Chestnut Street. Is that going to be a fast charger or no?
No, that's going to be one of the Summit Connect level 2 chargers.
Okay.
The same chargers that are installed at the 3rd Street lot and now the Pizza History lot.
So how long will they take to charge? I'm just curious because I would choose to buy an electric car.
Excellent question. Yeah, of course. It takes a few hours to get a full charge. It would take several hours. A lot of people will just come in, their car will be partially discharged and they're just looking to top it off, which could be accomplished in a couple of hours. So yes, it is longer. It's nowhere near the class of the supercharger where you're talking about 20 or 30 minutes for a substantial charge.
Okay, I was just, as I said, I'm contemplating, I have a hybrid now, so
Mhm.
it would just be, would that be an advantage as opposed to getting the electrical work in my house to out to my street and everything, so, okay, thanks.
Excuse me, Gail, this is Kathy. Can you have that individual identify themselves, please?
Oh,
Oh.
sorry, Bernadette Ruff on 2nd Street.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Doesn't sound like it.
There are no further people.
All right. And we are at the end of the meeting, so if I could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
Welcome.
We'll all get trained on Friday and see you next month.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.